Well, the G1 Climax 30 is now officially done. It's in the history books, but however, who actually won this year's G1 in the first place? Well, all of that will be reviewed on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I'm your host, J-Rod here. As you guys now know, the G1 is finally finished. We have a winner, and I'll review everything for the past 3 days, starting with the A Block finals, all the way to the B Blocks finals, and finally to the actual finals between who won the respective blocks and who won the actual tournament. Now, before I start reviewing everything, I want to give you guys announcements for those who are diehard New Japan fanatics anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter if you're in the US or in Mexico, the UK, Canada, doesn't matter. They already announced for upcoming events that you may want to take a look at if you got the NJPW World on demand. They're going to go with the Road to the Power Struggle that will start on the 23rd of October all the way to November 5th. Then we have Power Struggle that will take place on November 7th. And then we have a double tournament that's going to take place. One, the World Tag League, and the Best of the Super Juniors 27. And it goes from November 5th all the way to December 11th. Now you're probably asking me why they're having two tournaments in the same time. As you know, the Best of the Super Juniors never actually took place. Now, ever since the whole pandemic happened, they actually had to not show it. And I know it's a real bummer for various wrestlers who we were expecting to see at the Super Junior. Doesn't matter if it's wrestlers from Japan or in the US or anywhere in the world. But now they're going to have it. This is going to be one crazy tournament to be ever witnessed. Now, the biggest announcement has already been announced during the G1. Wrestle Kingdom 15 will take place as a 2-day event on January 4th all the way to January 5th. So we got 2 days of Wrestle Kingdom, which is a good thing. I have to say this. I've been watching Wrestle Kingdom for a couple years now. But seeing now that they're doing 2 days is way more better than having maybe a longer G1. This is something that has been discussed before. As you know, there have been the speculations that WrestleMania was in that same kind of predicament because of what happened with the COVID. As you know, they actually did the same thing too, but we'll see how that goes. They haven't announced any matches for that because let's focus on the Power Struggle, then the World Tag League, and the Best of the Super Juniors now. So right now, let's review all of the G1, starting with the A Block finals. Okay, so the A Block finals has been one hell of a show been going around. So as you know, I mentioned there have been 4 finalists in the A Block so far. Will Ospreay, Jay White, Kazuchika Okada, and of course, one of my top favorites to win in the A Block is Kota Ibushi. Now, as you know, these are the 4 competitors that will most likely could win it, but however, the certain complications that take place in the tournament, how they advance. Now remember, some of these guys have the same point system as always, but they normally don't coincide how it works. They keep track of the scores on certain extents that the officials make when they see this. So let's just start with skip the young lines throughout the entire thing and just jump in with the first match they have. Now, these are 2 of the wrestlers that were not then they made the finals, but they were in it anyway. We had Yujiro Takahashi versus Jeff Cobb. Now, we can assume, as always, I mentioned this before, Yujiro has not had a very good G1 this entire year. Basically, he has been receiving never any wins in this tournament. However, that changed. He did something that none of us expected throughout the tournament. He pulled out his little cane, which he normally brings out when he's out in the ring. He used it on Jeff Cobb. That was the weirdest thing. Throughout the entire tournament, he hasn't done that. So he picked up the victory by using the cane. So, in retrospective, he ended his G1 with the victory. Even though he was out, he basically ended that way. Now the same thing goes with Shingo Takagi and Minoru Suzuki. As you know, these two have been in toe to toe before in months ago for the Never Openweight Championship. But these two were also two of the competitors that never made the finals. But however, this is something different that took place. As you know, Minoru Suzuki, he is the current title holder of the Never Openweight Championship. Now, why is that important? Well, here's the deal. If you pin the champion, you get a title opportunity. It's nothing compared like you see in any promotion. That's like a certain rule that they have down there. But Shingo Takagi put up one hell of a fight against Minoru Suzuki and beat him as this time. But however, could we see another reignitement between these two, between both Takagi and Suzuki for the Never Openweight Championship? Because the way I see it, if you saw the end of the match, Minoru Suzuki was happy with that sadistic smile that he does every time when he's looking for a fight and someone beats him. So it is possible we could see another rematch between both Takagi and Suzuki. All we gotta do is win and see. Now the next match is Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada, members of Chaos. This was a very a unique match because these guys are not strangers to each other. They have faced each other on multiple occasions, and on every occasion, it's always Okada who pulls through. But however, this match we did not expect it the way it did. Now it appears that Okada was about to finish off Will with his new finisher known as the Money Clip, which is a submission move that he's been using for the past couple months, unlike his power finisher, the Rainmaker. As soon as that happened, we've been seeing Bea Priestley, who we know in real life is Will Ospreay's girlfriend, but also she was a former star for AEW until she was released because of the restrictions that took place. But however, she's also one of their top stars in the Japanese Yoshi promotion, Stardom, and she is the current SWA champion. And because of that, when she came out helping out, another person showed up, someone who no one has seen for almost 2 years. His name is Tomoyuki Oka, but now he goes by the Great Okan. And this particular wrestler, from what I can understand, he was on excursion with Ref Pro Wrestling down in the UK, which is one of the partnership promotions that New Japan has with them. So we haven't seen him for 2 years, but somehow he was able to eliminate Okada to give Will Ospreay a chance to win. But however, that did not end it that way. Will Ospreay applied the Stormbreaker, but it didn't end in the way we expected. For some odd reason, he pulled the hidden blade on him and telling him the F word and telling him that you've been holding me back. And then in post-match interview, he said that he's done with Okada, he's done with Chaos, and he's striking on his own. And he felt that Okada have always been. This was a shocking thing that nobody expected, not even Will Ospreay. And of course, throughout the tournament, throughout this entire time they've been talking about it. Both Rocky and Kevin Kelly on the English commentary, they've been talking about it, and it looks like, from what it's been told, it looks like we're getting another stable faction. But the clues will come in when I get to that on the finals of the G1. Now, because of this happened, it appears Will Ospreay does not advance that further. But however, if there's a tie between Kota Ibushi and Taichi or Jay White, then that's a different scenario. So we'll just wait and so we're just gonna move on to the next match where we have Taichi versus Kota Ibushi. Now this was a very unique match the way it goes. Now, as you know, Taichi has been trying to get Kota Ibushi to leave Tanahashi out of his corner, to stop looking at him as a hero. But this time, these guys were not budging. They throw in some chops. They throw in some striker. That is something you don't see with Ibushi or Taichi. Taichi is the kind of guy who will do whatever it takes to win, to make himself noticed. But however, this match made him noticed because he put up one hell of a fight against Kota Ibushi. But because Kota Ibushi was throwing his little striker kicks on both back and forth on Kota Ibushi, it was a possibility he might have injured himself throughout this match. But however, he did pick up the victory when he applied the Kamigoye on Taichi. But the real question is, will he be 100% if he advances to the finals? Now, the main event for this one is Jay White versus Tomohiro Ishii. Now, Tomohiro Ishii's already out, but however, if Jay White loses this match, it could give a possibility for Kota Ibushi to advance further. And this match was one of those matches where Tomohiro Ishii tries to take him out, but of course you got Geto right behind him, as always, behind Jay White, making sure he wins. But things did not go well for Jay White. He loses the match against Tomohiro Ishii. He couldn't believe it. But the announcement was later when they actually analyzed the points that they have. It appears Kota Ibushi became the A block winner for this year's G1 Climax 30. So he advances to the finals, but however, who actually wins the B block? So we're going to talk about that right about now. It's B block time. So who actually wins the B block in the G1? Now, there have been many speculations. Now, there have been 3 that they announced: Evil, Tetsuya Naito, and Sanada. So basically, these are the only 3 wrestlers in New Japan for the G1 that most likely could win the tournament. So basically, it's a little tricky as always. Now, let's get the Young Lions matches, because it's not important, but it's good. It's important. But I must warn you guys about the this Young Lions matches they've been throwing. They've been calling it the unofficial C block. Don't ask me why. Tell that to Rocky Romero. Now, the first match is 2 of the wrestlers that, well, they did not make the finals. Yoshihashi versus his Chaos stablemate, Toru Yano. Now, you all know Toru Yano. He always is up to his old tricks, as always. So, you know he has tape somewhere in his pants. So, basically, Yoshihashi knew exactly what he was doing. But I did not expect a lot of things with Yoshihashi putting up a good fight. But, however, somehow he actually decided to use something out of his playbook. In his crotch, he pulled out a tape of his own and taped up Yano's arm into his staff that he uses when he comes out to the ring, and on the other side of the bike railing. So he was stuck to pull in. So Yano knew there was no way he can, maneuver it or try to, you know, like that. So he did the most funniest thing. He went through the railing, and basically it allowed him to escape. But however, he did not win the match. None of his tricks worked because Yoshihashi was prepared. So basically, he knew how his teammate was going to win. So he's a sneaky guy. So Yoshihashi may have been out of the tournament, but he ends the G1 with a victory. Now the next match we have Hiroki Goto versus Juice Robinson. Two more wrestlers that in fact did not make the G1 finals, but however they decided to throw in. It was a good match, I'm not going to lie. But of course, Hiroki Goto being one of the toughest competitors or strong style wrestlers that you ever see. But this time, his Fierce Warrior technique did not able to beat Juice Robinson. So Juice Robinson wins and ends his G1 with the victory. Now the next match we have is Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now these two guys have been at each other for a long time. As you guys recall or don't know about it, it was Tanahashi who beat Zack Sabre Jr. for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship that he had for a time, now that he lost it to Will Ospreay. But of course, Tanahashi was being more careful not to be involved in the submission tactics by Zack Sabre Jr., even though he's been trying to put him in. And not only that, he knew how to hurt Zack because he gave him a little injury in the previous matches that they had together. And it was very brutal, allowing for Tanahashi to win the G1 with the victory, and it was a great match. So he may have not win the go to the finals as he hoped for, but at least he wins with the victory. Now, next match we have Kenta versus Tetsuya Naito. Now, Naito has been determined to win the tournament no matter what. To ensure if he wins, he gets to pick his opponent, which is something that every wrestler in the G1, any champion who's involved in the G1, they want to do. But however, that's not the case this time. Kenta actually won the match, and this time costing Tetsuya Naito to not advance. Now, however, since Tetsuya Naito only had 12 points, he was still in the same. But however, Evil only had 12 points and Sonata had 10. But we're going to get to that right now between this match. Now, however, if you guys are new to the channel, don't know this, both Evil and Sonata were tag team partners for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Division until Evil defected to Bullet Club, and betraying not only Tetsuya Naito but also the members of Los Ingobernables de Japón, or as we call them, LIJ. And Sonata and Evil were no strangers to each other. However, this is a tournament that they both know. Evil believes that Tetsuya Naito has been renting those championships long enough that it's time for him to get them back. But I have to say, Sonata was not a fool. He knew right from the start that Evil will have his insurance policy with him no matter what. And that insurance policy was none other than the master spoiler, Dick Togo. As you know, Dick Togo makes sure that he wins the matches. But however, things did not go well. As you don't know, in the commentary section, not the English commentary, but the Japanese commentary, there was a special guest. And that person was Hiromu Takahashi, who's also a member of LIJ and one of the best junior heavyweights in the division in New Japan. But when he saw that he had enough of Evil and Dick Togo getting involved, he decided to get involved and do something about it. Not only did he help his buddy out to ensure that Evil does not win this tournament, but it worked. Somehow, Sonata was able to pick up the victory with the 3 count, gaining 2 points. So here's the way it went. You had three wrestlers who actually had 12 points: Naito, Evil, and now Sonata. But however, who do you determine will win the A block? There was actually a loophole for that. According to the officials, they're saying because Sonata pinned Tetsuya Naito, that gives them leverage to advances. So basically, it gave him a chance to win, and that allowed him to win the B block. So he represents the B block to face Kota Ibushi, and he may be closer to winning the briefcase that contains the contract for a heavyweight championship at Wrestle Kingdom 15. So, the real question is, who wins the G1 between Kota Ibushi and Sonata? Well, I guess it's time to reveal that right about now. Okie dokie. So right now we're in the finals of the G1 Climax 30. I have to say, Kota Ibushi was my pick to win the A block. Because A, there's a reason why. This is not his first time. This is his third time reaching the finals. But however, this was not the first time he actually wins the tournament and goes to Wrestle Kingdom. He did that last year. You see, the first time was 2 years ago. He actually faced against his hero, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and he lost to him, missing an opportunity to go to Wrestle Kingdom. But however, the following year, he actually won the G1. He made it to the finals, won the G1, but he came up short when he lost to Jay White. But this year, does Kota Ibushi has what it takes to win this tournament? However, you got his opponent, Sonata, who has been making a play for the heavyweight title for who knows how long, since he first arrived in New Japan. He is very athletic, very talented. He's also one of the fans' favorites, including mine. In this tournament, I was so biased. I was a fan for both, so that means I needed to shut up and just enjoy the match. However, this match was unique. It was classic because there was no interference from both sides. Sonata did not have his LAJ brethren helping out. Kota Ibushi did not have anyone by his side to help him. It was a clean match. But we'll get to that at the end. But however, let's start with the first match. We had an 8-man tag team match. We had Suzuki-gun members Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., El Desperado, and Doiki facing off against Chaos members Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Goto, and Ishii. Now, the match was exactly the way it always does, with Suzuki-gun trying to win the match at any means necessary by cheating their way. So they won by using tactics, as always. But something happened at the end. They took out Yoshihashi, allowing for Doki to make the pinfall. And because he made the pinfall, he has issued a challenge to Yoshihashi, who is 1/3 of the never openweight 6-man tag team champions, who is teamed with Goto and Ishii. So he's declaring that they should face all three members, and he picked the guys who should obtain those titles is none other than the current IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. Now, the reason Doiki did it is because he looks at almost everyone has a title. Everybody in Suzuki-gun has a title. Minoru Suzuki has the never openweight title. Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., they have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Kanemaru and El Desperado. They currently have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Where does that leave Doiki? Well, in my personal experience, he could have challenged for the Junior Heavyweight title that is currently being held by Taichi, but he preferred it. He wanted because he thinks that Yoshihashi is a joke. He didn't deserve the win. I mean, here's the thing. Yoshihashi has improved. He's improving a lot, and he thinks he's a joke. But there is still no word whether Goto, Yoshihashi, or Ishii are going to accept the challenge. But we just gotta wait and see when we get there. Now, the next match we have LIJ members Hiromu Takahashi and Shingo Takagi versus Suzuki-gun members Minoru Suzuki and, of course, Kanemaru. So this was also continued on. As you know, this feud between Minoru Suzuki and Shingo Takagi is far, far from over. So this always goes on in every aspect. But this match gave a different perspective with Hiromu allowing himself to pin Kanemaru. But however, when he pinned him, the match was over. They were still going on with the fight between Takagi and Suzuki. So it may look like we could see another title match between those two for the Never Openweight Championship. So my assumption may take place between now all the way to Wrestle Kingdom, or we'll see how that goes, because we got the Power Struggle, which is an annual tournament they also do for the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Division. And of course, we got the World Tag League and the Best of the Super Juniors. So we'll see how that goes. Then we had another 8-man tag team match. We had Hiroshi Tanahashi, Master Wato, Jeff Cobb, and Juice Robinson versus Bullet Club members Jay White, Geto, Taishi Ishimori, and of course Kenta. Now, as you know, there have been some animosity between both Kenta and Jeff Cobb, since you know Kenta is the current title holder of the briefcase holder of the IWGP United States Championship that is currently held by Jon Moxley. But this match went exactly how it should be. However, apparently Tanahashi submitted what's his name, Kanemaru. But he pinned Geto, which is funny. Even Rocky was enjoying himself over that because that's the way he wanted it to be. But of course, Kenta has told him that there's a dent in the briefcase that he gave to Tanahashi. I don't know if Tanahashi is thinking about obtaining the briefcase because, as you know, if you obtain a briefcase with the contract for a title, you have to defend it. Kenta does not want that. His true goal and true mission is to face Moxley. Now, he's not going to wait. He wants to do that. We haven't seen Moxley for a while. They can't actually put him doing any shows in the United States due to the fact he's exclusive only in the United States by AEW. But we'll see how that goes. We'll see, because there's been talk about this a while now. Now, next match we have the Great Okan and Will Ospreay alongside his lady, Bea Priestley, versus Sho and Kazuchika Okada. As you know, Rocky gave a lot of interesting points about what happened, that he believes that this was a long time coming, but he didn't expect it. But they asked him an obvious question: would Will Ospreay would have told him that he wanted to strike on his own to give Okada's blessing? He said, yeah, he would have allowed him to do that, but it didn't. But however, Ospreay has felt that he's been holding back. But however, there's been talk they may have a faction name that they want to name, calling it themselves the Empire. Like they're making their own empire. If you know, there's a reason to that, because the other commentator, who is not Kevin Kelly or Rocky Romero, made some interesting points. The Great Okan, if you know the story about Genghis Khan, he was a true leader of the of the Mongol Empire that conquered much of Asia and possibly nearly the world. So that's the reason. As for Will Ospreay, we know him, if you guys know that he is British, the British Empire is a powerful nation back in the day when they colonized areas from the Americas to the Caribbean, anywhere in the world. That's the reason they asked. But the real question is, who would join these guys? Well, we'll see how that happens. But however, the match was great. Even Show did not show restraint against Will Ospreay, because if you guys, Rocky revealed this, the Show and Will were very close, even Yo as well. But it didn't go exactly the way. Show has been upset that he turned his back on his teammate, turned his back on him. But the match ended with Will Ospreay and the Great Khan winning the match. So, what does this mean? Well, I don't know. Now, the next match is a tag team match between Evil, along with his insurance policy, Dick Togo, teaming with Yujiro Takahashi, taking on Tetsuya Naito and Bushi. This whole, as you know, Dick Togo's always been by his side, always made sure he wins the matches and does whatever it takes. But Evil is determined to dethrone Tetsuya Naito because he believes he is a false champion. That's always been his case. Reason Evil's been saying that is because Evil felt that he's been on the shadows of Tetsuya Naito for far too long. But Naito is not going to give up his titles without a fight. But you got to remember, there's a tricky thing that takes place. I'll explain to that in a bit. Now, before the start of the main event, we had Masahiro Chono. If you guys don't know who he is a New Japan Pro Wrestler legend. He is amongst few of the wrestlers that was able to win 3 back-to-back G1 tournaments. He and what's his name? And Tenzan were the only 2. So he comes out saying, this nice speech, how it's been 30 years now since G1 has been going. So he decides to sing ringside because he will be the one presenting the trophy of the G1 Climax winner. Now, the match between Sanada and Kota Ibushi was unbelievable. It was a great match. I have to say, this is one of those matches that was the best between Sanada and Kota Ibushi. Reason is, it was so good, no interference, so clean. But like I said, I was so biased in this match. But I was a bit didn't know who was going to win. It was either Sanada or Kota. It was going back and forth with the pins between who was going to make the pinfall. But frankly, the person was, once again, for a second time in a row, Kota Ibushi. He won this year's G1, making him another contender for get a shot of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Now, the tricky part now is, during the post-match, he gave his interview, but however, someone had to spoil the party, and that person was Jay White. As you know, Jay White felt that he was robbed, that she should have been the one to win, but it didn't go exactly like that. So he warned Kota Ibushi, telling him that sooner or later they will give him the briefcase to contain the contract for a title shot of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. So Kota is not stupid. He knows what's at stake. It happened the same thing to him last year with Kenta, but it didn't go exactly that way. So that's how it ends. Kota Ibushi is the winner. But I feel I should give you guys one of my final thoughts throughout the G1. And that's gonna be right now. what are my final thoughts of the G1 for this year? Well, I have to say it's amazing. There were certain things in this tournament that I was surprised. Now, let me give you some examples. Yoshihashi may have been one of those wrestlers that did not win his block or the tournament. But however, he has improved his wrestling skills, his craft for what he did in the ring. He may not have the best record, but he did show improvements. That is a good thing to pay attention because Yoshihashi was never the guy who always wins or doesn't put up a good fight. But now it appears he does. And I have to say, Yoshihashi did an amazing job. One of the few things that surprised me was the first three matches from Toru Yano. He won his first three matches. Now, I wasn't sure if they were going to allow him to win this, like, all the way. Even Rocky said it, Yano was his pick to win, but he jinxed it. So Yano did not win. But however, his tricks, his comedy routine that he's been throwing out throughout the tournament, oh my god, that was so great. I love it. I have to say, this year with Toru Yano being in the G1 was the best one ever. He's always been up to his tricks. You don't know what he's going to hide. You don't know what he's going to pull. But it was a good one. I didn't expect that. Another example is Tai Chi. He also was one of those wrestlers that was improving. He is improving more as a better wrestler for a while now because he came out strong in the G1. And that is something good to pay attention of. Now, many of the wrestlers who I speculated, there were two wrestlers. Well, let's see. I was hoping Naito was going to win his block, but however, I did predict, hoping it was either Okada or Bushi to win the respective blocks, but I settled for Ibushi. So that is something that always, how to say, gets in my mind. But what did I thought about Ospreay betraying Okada and Chaos? I have to say, maybe this was a long time coming. We have seen many wrestlers that leave their factions to form their own. There's been like that for a long, long time with many factions that left their respect and defected their respected factions. So, do I think that the New Japan needs a new faction? Yes, but if they are gonna go like that, they better do it good. Better impress me. So, what did I thought about with Ibushi and Sanada making their way to the respective blocks? I have to say, I didn't think Sanada had what it takes to make it through. He was close on various occasions, but however, this time he made it all the way to the finals, which is a big surprising thing. I enjoyed it. Now, I did mention about Evil, that he will stop at nothing to obtain both titles that currently are being held in Naito. Now, the tricky part, as I say, Kota Ibushi is currently now the winner of the G1 Climax. He gets a briefcase that contains the contract for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 15. Now, Kota has the right to defend that briefcase against anybody who wants it. As you know now, Jay White has put himself in front of the line. Now, my original assumption, I would assumed Evil probably would want that briefcase because he will stop at nothing to obtain those titles back to his corner again. But however, I did realize he could challenge Naito for those titles between now all the way to Wrestle Kingdom. That is one of those things that kind of plays out in a scenario. If you look at Jay White, but here's the way I see it. What happens if Kota Ibushi loses the briefcase to Jay White, and Evil beats Naito prior before Wrestle Kingdom, and he obtains both championships. Well, this could play out in a scenario that could lead to a civil war within Bullet Club. As you know, Evil has been playing mind games with Jay White, all this and that. But the real question is, would that ever happen? I don't know. But these two guys do have the right to defend. Bushi has a right to defend the briefcase to contain the contract, and Naito has the right to defend both his titles from Evil. But do I expected it? I don't know, but we just gotta wait and see from here and out all the way to Wrestle Kingdom 15. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I have to say I'm exhausted from following the G1, and now I might have to do the same thing again when it comes to the World Tag League and the best of the Super Juniors. So I just gotta wait and see. Gotta get my brain focused when we get to that. But for now, I'm just gonna rest up a little bit and follow everything else. So don't forget this Friday. It's in fact New Japan NJPW Strong with the Never tour, and I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are excited for that. But for now, I must bid all of you guys adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.